Good morning, Spark friends. Today is Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's time for another Spark story. Now, most of the time on Wednesdays, I try to choose stories that I think are fun because reading is fun. I mean, friends, we can go all over the world and meet all kinds of interesting people without even leaving our houses, all through the magic of books. You think about it, friends. We have been to all these places back here, and we have never even left my office. That is such a cool thing about books. Another cool thing about books is that books can make us think, and that's important too. So today I have chosen one of my favorite thinking stories to share with you. This is a true story about a little first grader who's become one of my heroes. I know, she's awesome. I can't wait for you to meet her. Her name is Ruby Bridges. Now, Ruby was born in the city of New Orleans in the year 1954. Now, that was during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. Some of y'all have probably become familiar with that term through your school studies. The Civil Rights Movement was a movement that was seeking justice and equal rights for our black brothers and sisters in the United States. And Martin Luther King Jr., whose birthday we just celebrated on Monday, was a very important leader in the Civil Rights Movement. Now, Ruby Bridges isn't a first grader anymore. In fact, she's a grown-up lady now. But as a child, I think she set an example for us, grown-ups included, of what it means to live a life of love and courage. And that's why I wanted to share her story with you today. Now, I will warn you, there are parts of this story that are hard to read. In fact, some of the things that are said make me very sad. But if you stay with me, I promise the end of this story has a very happy ending. So, let's get started. Ruby Bridges Goes to School, my true story. A long time ago, some people thought that black people and white people should not be friends. I told you, that's the sad part. In some places, black people were not allowed to live in the same neighborhoods as white people. In some places, black people were not allowed to eat in the same restaurants as white people. And in some places, black children and white children could not go to the same schools. That's called segregation. The United States government said that segregation is wrong. People should live where they want. People should eat where they want. Children should go to school where they want. My name is Ruby Bridges. In 1960, I went to kindergarten in a school for black children. I liked my school. I liked my teacher. I liked my friends. But there was a school for white children even closer to my house than the school for black children. It was called William Franz Elementary School. The government said Ruby Bridges should be allowed to go to the William Franz School. In 1961, I was in first grade. My mother took me to the Franz School. Marshals came with us to make sure that we were safe. Now, marshals are kind of like police officers, and they escorted Ruby to school every single day. Some people did not want a black child to go to the school. They stood near the school. They yelled at me to go away. That makes me sad too. I can't imagine yelling at a first grader. Parents took their children out of the school. I was alone with my teacher, Mrs. Henry. I loved Mrs. Henry, and Mrs. Henry loved me. I was a very good student. I learned math, I learned how to read, but I wished the other children would come back. Months and months passed. Then one day, children began to come back to school. At last, I had friends to play with. I was very, very happy. And they do look happy, don't they? That's a good group of friends. Many people have read about me in newspapers and books. A famous author by the name of John Steinbeck wrote about me. He wrote that I was very brave, and I agree. A first lady by the name of Eleanor Roosevelt wrote a letter to me. The letter told me that I was a good American. I agree with that too. Norman Rockwell was an artist who painted a picture of me. The painting has become very famous. Now I am a grown-up. I am married. I have children. One day, Mrs. Henry and I were both asked to be on a TV show. That was the first time we had seen each other in many years. Now we talk to each other often. Now black children and white children can go to the same schools. I like to visit schools. I tell my story to children. I tell children that black people and white people can be friends. And most important, I tell children to be kind to each other. The end. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope it made you think. Really, I said the end, but it's not the end. The story of Ruby Bridges and people just like her continue on, and we have made a lot of progress in the civil rights movement, but we have a ways to go, friends, and what we can do, you and me, is remember to be kind to all people, to love all people. That's God's will for us, and to make friends with all people. That's pretty easy, isn't it? I think so. Well, friends, I love y'all so much. I will see you back here next week. Keep reading, keep thinking, and I'll see you next week. Bye.